Maybe it's a little hypocritical of me to be making a video about TikTok when in the past I've hated on e-boys and I've made fun of silly TikTok trends that were giving really bad advice. But to be completely honest, after installing the app on my phone and making a few videos myself, I have to say, I'm kind of addicted. When I first started making these TikTok videos, I did not expect to receive the massive amount of support that I've received up until this point now. On today's episode of Discourse with Dobson, me, Mr. Dobson, I'm going to be talking to you about school TikToks, mainly the three major things that I've learned using the TikTok application as a teacher, and why I think that some of these things are good, and some of these things are not so good. After creating my first video on TikTok, I realized that my profile was gaining a lot of traction, and it seemed like a lot of students were spreading the news that I had made a profile and was now making TikToks in addition to YouTube videos. So much so that it kind of spread like wildfire. I had discovered that this first video was shouted out by a student that I had worked with in the past, and it made me very happy to know that students had taken a liking to me enough so that they were willing to support me on this new adventure into a different social media platform. I was on the receiving end of a lot of positive feedback, good feelings, and general support from the community. It made me feel included, like maybe that there was a spot for teachers on social media platforms making silly videos or interacting with students in ways that aren't just education. This inclusivity made me go out and look for other teachers and other content creators on the platform, and to my surprise, they exist. This piqued my curiosity, as I realized that there were younger users being incredibly supportive of these content creators, and that despite the toxicity of the internet and an open comment forum, there still exist pockets that are positive and environments where wholesome interactions can take place. I truly felt included when students met me with immediate interest after discovering the fact that I have a profile. And while there have been silly comments that are mean-spirited, things like, he's just trying to be a teenager again, and he's just trying to fit in reality, I'm just trying to have fun. And they are fun, and I have a blast making them. And I think that it's this massive influx of support that I've received upon people seeing the videos that makes me want to continue making them. Of the Gen Z creators that I've taken the opportunity to investigate and watch their videos for research purposes, the level of creativity and genius and ingenuity that I've seen is often inspiring. I've found that videos that create a clear, direct, or sharp emotional connection often do well. However, I also think it's quite important to recognize that there is sort of a creative drain that exists when trends or memes fall into obscurity. What I mean by this is the repetition and the reiteration of the same style of video over and over again on the platform is a trend in and of itself, with the end goal to become TikTok famous. There's a certain level of expectation that comes with content creation and observing popular trends, but unfortunately, we know that this isn't the way that the algorithm works. And I can totally understand, now that I've used the application for roughly a week, that younger creators, or even older ones, can become angry or upset or frustrated when their video flops. In addition to the things that I found about the age gap and inclusivity, I've also found that if you have the mentality, if they can do it, then I can do it, and I can do it better, so I'll get more views, you're going to set yourself up for disappointment. Some of the TikTok videos that I've created are the result of buying into trends. I had created these videos based off of trends that I've seen on the platform, with some of them excelling and some of them failing. And what I mean by failing is that I was determining my own self-worth based on the view count of the video. I had never subscribed to this train of thought before. It was very difficult to see that despite my time and my effort, my videos were not being perceived as viral quality. And this can be a mindset that's very tough to deal with. It's very easy for us to compare our everyday regular lives to the snapshot albums that we see on things like Instagram or Snapchat. After creating a few videos that had gotten a moderate amount of views for someone that has barely any followers, I realized that certain changes were going on in my brain. Things that were long and lasting, like the feeling of needing to check the application to see if one of my videos had exploded or gone viral. There were times last week when I was first exploring the application that I found myself staying up until 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning, on a school night by the way, browsing TikTok for ideas that I thought would be funny to give a spin on substitute teaching. I think it was at this point that I realized I was probably addicted to scrolling through my TikTok feed. And as silly as that sounds, as silly as a guilty pleasure of watching silly videos is, it has the same pathological pathways that addiction has. You crave the addiction, you lose control, and you continue to indulge and engage in the addiction despite the consequences. As I am regularly a biology teacher, I think it would be a good opportunity here for me to talk briefly about addiction, in that it's chemically based. Your brain structure and function are altered, your processes are hijacked, and this is all due to a neurotransmitter called dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter in your brain that triggers certain reward pathways. When dopamine is released, you feel pleasure, like hey, you did a good job. But then what happens is it reactivates the release of dopamine again, like hey, you did a good job. It's a feedback loop, and it continues to happen over and over again. When the brain realizes that this feedback loop is out of control, the brain adapts, and it makes the addiction less pleasurable. In that, in order for you to receive the same amount of pleasure that you originally had received, you require more input. We scroll endlessly through our feeds. Whether it is Insta, or Snapchat, or TikTok, we scroll. And we scroll until we find enjoyable content that gives us pleasure. It's important to recognize here that, despite TikTok being a satisfying video environment, it is most definitely related to dopamine reward pathways. When you scroll through TikTok and you see a video that makes you laugh, makes you chuckle, it makes you recognize that that is a trend that is being done well and that I want to do it so that I can do it better, you have to see that this is the fuel for dopamine release. It is the pleasurable act of trying to make content go viral. Creating TikTok videos is very much like playing the slots at a casino. You could be the one person who wins. Your video could be the one video that goes viral. You could earn millions of followers, thousands of views, and a whole lot of internet clout and fame. But you could also be the person who makes a lot of videos and it goes nowhere. And it's not necessarily your fault, you didn't do anything wrong, it's just that the algorithm didn't pick you. And while none of my videos have gone particularly viral, and I'm not necessarily TikTok famous, even as an adult, I have gone through questions of my own creativity, my own self-worth. Was it really valuable for me to make that video? Am I addicted to TikTok, or is it just a guilty pleasure? I have had a lot of fun using TikTok, and I'll probably continue to make videos. There's no doubt about that. But what I hope that you can take from this video is that self-reflection and moderation are two very important skills for you to start developing as a teenager or for you to practice as an adult. If this is the first time that you're getting to the end of a Discourse with Dobson video, or you're a returning viewer and you very much like the content, feel free to subscribe, it's free, liking the video helps me out a lot, and commenting gives me a way to interact with you outside of the video. Feel free to check out the TikTok, they're silly and funny videos. I've got nothing left for you today. Mr. Dobson, out.